Hi everyone, welcome to another 30-minute Pilates. Today we're going to be doing a shoulder based 30 minutes, so it's literally all about your shoulders. We're going to be doing a few little exercises and a few stretches. If you do have a yoga block, that'll be really useful. You can also have like a book or a water bottle, as long as it's kind of roughly that width and roughly that thickness, that will be great. And just pop that down there. Also, if you want to make any of the exercises more difficult, tougher, if you have a little mini band, you can use that, or even if you've got one of those, the physio bands, you can use one of those as well. So I'm going to have both of these here. If you haven't, don't worry too much, you can still do the exercises as they are. That's just to make them harder for yourself. So we're going to start with our setup. We're going to have our feet together, we're going to turn our toes out, we're going to take our heels out as well. So take a glance down, check that your feet are where they are supposed to be. And we want to be weighing down in our big toe, our little toe and our heels. So just make sure the weight is equally distributed. Coming up to our knees, we're going to have them nice and spongy. So just give them a little bit of a wiggle. Now to our pelvis, we want to make sure our pelvis is nice and level. So you just imagine you've got two little headlights on the front of those hip bones. So the bits that kind of stick out here, they're going to be on and they're going to be forward. So make sure you're not tilting one way or the other. They're going to be nice and level. Inside our pelvis, we're going to imagine we've got a really full bucket of water, and we're going to try and keep that level without spilling as well. So you'll notice if you think about that water, if you tilt one side to the other, forward or backwards, you're going to slosh that water. So make sure that's nice and still. You may need to tuck the pelvis under slightly to keep that where it needs to be. That will help engage those bottom abs. Our midsection, we're going to pull the belly button in. This is going to help engage our midsection right here. Up to our ribs, we're going to think about knitting the ribs down towards our pelvis. So this is going to engage the top part of our core. So we should have this really nice cylinder shape here, pulling it all in, all nice and engaged. We're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. As we do this, we're going to pick our shoulders up towards our ears. We're going to push them back, and then we're going to breathe out through our mouth. We're going to repeat. So breathing in, shoulders back, breathing out through the mouth. Fantastic. Now, if you want to close your eyes while we do this, we're going to do it a couple more times, warming up into those shoulders ready. So really think about squeezing the shoulders up, pushing them back and sliding them down the back. Just trying to get that rotation in the shoulders ready, warming up the joints, ready for the movements. You can just let the arms relax. Into the nose, back out through the mouth. Okay, we're going to do two more. And take your time. I'm going to slide the shoulder blades down the back. So imagine you're tucking them into your back pockets. Fantastic. So I want you to think about lengthening up through your spine. So imagine you've got that cord in the top of your head and it's pulling you up towards the ceiling. So we're lengthening that up nice and tall. We're going to do our lateral flexion. So imagine you've got that pane of glass in front and behind you. And we're going to slide in between the panes of glass. So try and keep the weight equally distributed in the feet and keep the hips relatively still. So we don't want the hips to be pushing to one side. Hips are going to be nice and still. We're thinking about lengthening the one side of the body. So we're lifting that up and over and we're stretching down either side. Shoulders are stacked, one on top of the other. And we're lengthening back up in the center each time. So breathing into the nose, breathing back out through the mouth. Keeping the belly button pulled in slightly as well. We're just keeping that little bit of tension just to support our back. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. We're going to finish back in the center. We're going to do our bow and arrow. So this is for our rotation. So make sure your feet are still where you left them. We're going to breathe in. We're going to float our arms up towards the shoulders, and on our out breath, we're going to pull our one elbow down towards our waist and we're going to twist our shoulders round. So we're rotating the top part of the body and we're going to bring that back. So breathing into the nose, breathing out, pulling the elbow back, twisting that round, bring that back up into the center. Fantastic. So you want to make sure that your hips are facing forward still. We're not twisting the bottom part of the body. It's just the top part. So we're pulling that shoulder back, rotating. You're breathing in the center, and then you're going to breathe out either side. And each time you come back into the center, just think about lengthening back up through the spine. So we're resetting each time. We're squeezing the shoulder blades as we go as well. So we're just helping to rotate that shoulder round. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. I'm going to finish back in the center. And we're going to float the arms back down. I'm just going to do a little bit of neck mobility quick. So this will help with the traps and this will help with the connections to the shoulders. So lengthening up, and we're just going to let the head drop side to side. So we're just stretching down either side of the neck. And when you drop the head down to the one shoulder, just think about pulling the opposite shoulder away slightly. You're just pulling that down just to create that extra little bit of tension. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. And finish back in the center. And then we're just going to rotate the head side to side. So we're keeping the rest of the body nice and still. And we're keeping the chin parallel to the floor. Breathing in through your nose. Breathing back out through your mouth. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. We're going to finish back in the center, and we're going to do our roll downs. So make sure you have a little bit of room in front of you. You can have your feet underneath the hips, or if it's a little bit easier, you can take them slightly wider. Make sure the knees are nice and spongy still. We're going to lengthen up to the spine. We're going to breathe in through our nose. As we breathe out, we're going to tuck our chin in, and we're going to roll the shoulders down slightly. We're going to relax the arms, and we're going to take the arms roughly towards the knees. We're then going to breathe in when we get here, and we're going to breathe out, and we're slowly going to roll that back up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Finishing with rolling the shoulders back, stacking the head. Brilliant. Breathing in, breathing out, tucking that chin, rolling the shoulders. See if you can take it a little bit further this time. So maybe take the hands roughly down towards the calves, in the middle of the shins. Breathing in when you get here, and then breathing out and slowly rolling that back up, vertebrae by vertebrae. So you want to imagine like a slinky going down the stairs. So bit by bit, really tucking the chin, rolling the shoulders. You want to have a nice bend in the knees as well. We don't want to stretch the hamstrings too much. They're not warm enough yet, and we'll do ourselves more damage than good. So make sure there's a nice bend there, unless you're super warm already. Keeping the belly button pulled in slightly. And just see if you can take the hands further down this time. I'm going to do two more. So take your time. Each vertebrae rolling that down. And this should feel really nice on the spine. We're just mobilizing through it. On our second one, we're going to finish down. So take your time getting there. Roll that nice and slow. Once you get as far as you can, if you'd like, you can place each hand on each elbow, just kind of like a ragdoll position. And just let the weight of gravity just pull your head down towards the floor. So it's just lengthening and decompressing the spine. So if you've been stood up for quite a long portion of your day, this should feel quite nice. Just relax the shoulders, relax the head. If you need to put a bigger bend in the knees, you can. Breathing into the nose, breathing back out through the mouth. When you're ready, we're going to come down onto all fours. So take your time. We're going to do our thoracic rotation. So we're going to have our knees underneath our hips, our hands, our wrists, our elbows are underneath our shoulders, roughly shoulder width apart. So we're in this nice tabletop position. And think about keeping the belly button pulled in slightly. So you've got that little bit of tension there. We're going to place our left hand roughly where our left back pocket would be. So if you've got jeans or trousers on, that's where it's going to be. We're going to make sure this is keeping our hips nice and stable. So our gaze is going to be neutral, so roughly at the tips of our fingers, and we're going to be pushing through that other hand. So push the floor away from you to keep the shoulder engaged. Breathing in through your nose. On the out breath, we're going to rotate and we're going to open that chest. So bringing that shoulder back, and we're going to take that back down. So we're going to repeat this 6 times. So pushing through the wrist, rotating that shoulder around, bringing that back. I want you to think about squeezing the shoulder blades together, and this just helps with the rotation, bringing that round. So this is for our thoracic mobility. So this is the top part of our spine. This is why we're keeping our hips nice and still. You also get some mobility into the shoulder as we're doing it. So pushing that round, into the nose and back out through the mouth. Once you've done your 6, we're going to switch sides. So reset first, place both hands on the floor, opposite hand onto the opposite butt cheek, pushing through that other wrist, rotating that round, opening the chest, breathing into your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. So the goal is to stack the shoulders on top of each other. So we're trying to twist the shoulder around and point that right up towards the ceiling. Again, we're doing 6 this side. So control your breath, work with your breath. Pushing through that wrist to keep the shoulder engaged. Once you've done your 6, I'm just going to reset that down. I'm going to do our camel position, which I don't think we've done before. So we're going to come up onto our knees. There's a couple of ways to do this. We'll start with the easiest way, and we can increase if you really need to. So we can place our hands on our ankles, and we can push the hips forward. So we're opening up through the chest. If this is too much, you can just place the hands in the lower back and just push the hips forward this way. So we don't want the head to tilt too far back, just tuck the chin in slightly. Think about keeping the belly button pulled in. We're squeezing the glutes and we're pushing the hips forward. So we're stretching the front part of the chest. So if you want, you can place the hands on the ankles. Push the hips forward, open that chest up, stretching the front part of the body. Keeping a little bit of tension in those glutes. So squeeze the bum cheeks a little bit, protecting that lower back. Stretching through, breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. I'm going to pull that back up again. Fantastic. I'm going to just come down into a kneeling position. If this is uncomfortable for your knees, you can come down to a seated position. It is a little bit easier if you're knelt up, or you can kneel all the way up as well, whatever you prefer. Now this is an exercise that you can have your band with you. So if you want to increase, you can use the band. I'm going to show you without the band first. It's called the dumb waiter, which is a very strange name for it, but there we go. So this is going to be for your rotation in your shoulder. So we're going to keep the elbows pulled into our waist. So you want to imagine that it's your elbows pinned into your waist. It's not going to move out. It's going to want to move out, but we're going to keep it in. We're going to have our hands up. The thumbs are going to be pointing out. And all we're going to do is we're going to rotate that arm out. Bring that back in. So it's really important you keep that elbow in. So a lot of the time you kind of want to do this. That's not what we're doing. We're rotating that round. So it's rotating the shoulder and we're working on that rotation there. So this is where you can increase with your band, and you can hold your band and you can pull that apart. So this is really good if you do get any shoulder injuries a lot, or any issues in general with your shoulders. This strengthens the little tiny muscles inside your shoulder joint called your rotator cuff muscles. And they're the ones that stabilize the muscle, stabilize the joint, sorry. All the little muscles in there. Doesn't feel like you're necessarily doing much. Your hands may only be moving a couple of inches, but after a few, you'll probably notice the burn. So we're keeping the spine nice and straight still, and we're keeping the belly button pulled in. We're breathing in through our nose and back out through our mouth. So just rotating that out, keeping the elbows pinned in towards the side. Don't want the band, or you do want a band, you can just change that around. Try to keep the arms parallel to the floor the whole time as well. So we're not doing any bicep curls, we're not bringing the arms in, we're not lowering the arms. We're trying to keep them nice and parallel. We're going to do 3 more. So take your time with that movement. This is a really good warm-up movement as well. So if you do any kind of exercise that involves the shoulders, you can use this to warm up those shoulders too. And once you've done your 3, we're just going to give the arms a little bit of a wiggle. And you'll probably feel that, hopefully. So if you do have a block handy, you're going to need your block next. Now you can stay kneeling up, or you can come down into a kneeling position. But again, if you really need to sit on the floor, sit on the floor. But it's much easier if you're not. We're going to hold our block. Now we have done these before in one of the other videos, if you've been lucky enough to check out one of those. If you haven't got a block, this is where a water bottle or anything that'll light will do, even a DVD case will do, as long as it's roughly this size. So we're going to hold the block out in front of us. We're going to breathe in. On the out breath, we're going to keep the arms really straight, and we're going to pick the shoulders up towards our ears. We're then going to keep the arms straight still, and we're going to push the shoulders back. We're then going to slide them down our back, and we're going to push that forward again. So we're doing one whole rotation with the shoulders, but we're keeping the arms really straight. Pulling that back, pushing it down, pushing that forward. Lovely. So we're going to try and make this nice and smooth now. So we're breathing in through our nose, breathing back out through our mouth. We're picking the shoulders up, squeezing them back, sliding them down, pushing them forwards. And try to keep the body as straight as possible. So we tend to find that we'll tend to go backwards and forwards a little bit to make the movement bigger. The movement does not need to be big at all. The block may only move an inch, a couple of inches maximum. That's absolutely fine. Just getting that mobility and that rotation in the shoulders. Again, we're working all those little stabilizer muscles. Just kind of getting them switched on. I'm going to go back the other way. So we're going to drop the shoulders down, pull them back, squeeze them up, push them forward. Fantastic. So breathing in, breathing out, rolling those round. You really want to keep the movement nice and slow. We're just making them as big as we can. So really think about squeezing them down, pulling them back, squeezing them up and pushing them forward. Keeping the arms straight. So make sure the arms haven't bent. And you'll probably find that the shoulders are starting to burn now as well. I hope, if you're doing it right. I'm going to do one more. And we're going to place the block down. And we're going to give our arms a shake again and get the blood flowing. We might need that. So we're going to do our child's pose. This time we're going to lift our arms in our child's pose. So we're going to sit back first. We're going to take a breath here, just stretch out. Now we can increase this if we like. So if you find the movement relatively easy, which if you do, you're a savage, we're going to place the block underneath our hands as well. So we'll start with them on the floor, but if you want, you can add the block. So I'll show you with it on the floor because it's a lot easier. So breathing in, breathing out, we're going to lift one arm and we're going to place that back down. We're then going to lift the other arm. So keeping it nice and straight, placing that back down. Breathing in, breathing out, lifting the arm, placing that back down. So I want you to think about keeping the chest down towards the floor. So when you're moving, we're not opening up like this. The chest is staying down. We're literally lifting the arms straight up in the air. So lifting that up. So no twisting. Nipples are pinned to the floor. Lifting that up, placing that down. Now this is where if you want to increase, you can place the hands on the block and lift them up off the block. It just starts that movement slightly higher up and makes it that little bit more intense. So that is an option if you really want to. If you want to increase even further, you can try lifting both at the same time, which I don't know if I can do. Oh no, with great difficulty. So if you want to challenge yourself and give yourself a laugh, try lifting them both up at the same time. Breathing in, breathing out. This is just working at our full range of motion. So right at the end of our movement, it's just working that little bit extra. Keeping that belly button pulled in still. I'm going to do one more each side. And then we're just going to relax the forehead down to the floor. And we're just going to take a breather here for a second. So breathing into the nose, breathing back out through the mouth. Okay. We're going to do a little stretch now. So we're going to do something called puppy pose, which is very similar to child's pose, but you're going to have your bum stuck up in the air. Now, I'm not quite sure why it's called puppy pose. I suppose it's kind of like a puppy stretching. So we're going to keep our arms out nice and in front. We might just need to walk the fingers a little bit further. And we're going to stick the bum up in the air. So we're leaning that further forward. So you should find that's much more intense on your shoulders and into your back. So you can place the forehead on the floor. If you've got quite a lot of flexibility, you can place your chin on the floor, but don't stretch yourself too far. It's only if you know really what you're doing with that. We're just stretching that forward. And you should feel the stretch down either side of the body, into the shoulders, into the chest, and into the back as well. Breathing into the nose, breathing back out through the mouth. Okay. Slowly going to bring that forward into all fours. And we're going to do our plank position now. So we have got one core exercise. You haven't got away with it for the whole time, unfortunately. Now you can do this on your knees because we're going to make it a little bit more difficult, or in a kind of diagonal position. So in that kind of half plank position like this, if you prefer, or if you want, you can come all the way up onto your toes. But wherever you are, you need to make sure that your wrists are underneath your shoulders, roughly shoulder width apart. Now, if you do have a band, this is where you can make the exercise more difficult for yourself. I'll show you without the band to start with. So breathing in, on the out breath, we're going to walk one hand to where 12 o'clock is. We're then going to bring that back in. We're then going to walk it out to 1 o'clock. Bring that back in. Then to 2 o'clock, bring it in and out to 3 and bring that back in. And we're going to do the opposite side. So you've got that clock face in front of you, taking that up to the top, bringing that out to 11 o'clock, then to 10, and then over to 9 o'clock. Fantastic. So we're going to keep that going. So taking that forward, then to the diagonals, and then all the way out to the side. So we're going to take it out, we're placing it down, and then we're bringing it back. So we're trying to keep the movement nice and controlled. Not too quick. I know it's easier said than done. It can be quite difficult. Bringing that back. Fantastic. Now, if you do want to increase this band, you can just place that underneath the hands and you can use that so there's a little bit of tension. And make sure it's tight up. There we go. So you just want to have that little bit of tension as you're doing it. Pulling that along. It's up to you whether you want it with or without. And if you want to try it onto a full plank, you can try maybe one on a full plank, taking that forward. You want to try and keep the hips level, again, which is easier said than done. Breathing into the nose still, breathing back out to the mouth. You don't need to take the hand too far out either, just as far as you can manage. Even if it's just another hand width, you can do it that way. So just even if it's just really slightly moving that hand out, bringing that back in. If you need to do it on all fours, you can do it on all fours as well. As long as we're keeping that belly button pulled in, we're still pushing through the wrists. And we can do that on an all fours position as well. Okay, so we'll do one more each side. And we're going to come back into a seated position. And we're just going to rotate the wrists slightly in that figure of eight position, just to get the blood flowing again. And take a few breaths here. Okay, we're going to come down onto our front now. We're going to do our swan dive. So lower yourself down. We're going to have our hands in a W position. So you want to have them roughly in line with your head, so not too far back, not too far forward, in line with the head, so you can see the thumbs nice and easy. Don't worry about the legs too much, just let the heels fall in. Think about keeping the belly button pulled in as well. So imagine the floor is really cold and you're kind of going, and you're sucking that belly button up as much as you can. Elbows are going to be facing down towards the feet as well. So breathing into the nose. On the out breath, we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades, peel the head up off the floor, peel the sternum down to the bottom of the rib cage. Breathe in here and breathe out and slowly lower that back down again. Fantastic. So breathing at the bottom, breathing out on that movement, peeling that up, squeezing the shoulder blades together, lowering that back down again. So you really want to think about just using the upper part of the back to lift yourself up. So there's not any pressure in the arms or the hands, they're there just for support. We're not pushing ourselves up, because that uses our chest muscles and we don't need to use those at the moment. We're just trying to work on the back. So if you'd like to imagine maybe there's a tomato or something in between your shoulder blades, you're trying to squish it. That's quite a good metaphor to think of. We're really thinking about squeezing them together. And we're going to float the arms up as well if you like. If you want to increase, just lift those up. We're still taking it just down to the bottom of the rib cage. Okay, we're going to do two more. After that second one, we're just going to place our hands underneath our head. We're just going to take a breath here. Maybe just give the bum a bit of a wiggle side to side, just to release any tension that's built up there. Okay, I'm going to change my position so you can see me. So I'm going to have my knees bent up just so you can see, but you can stay exactly where you are. We're going to do our shoulder rotation. So we're going to be staying lay on the floor. We're going to have our arms above our head. We're going to be face down. We're not going to be roughly face down. If you want to pop a cushion underneath your forehead, or if you've got your yoga block, you can do that. We're going to try and keep our arms nice and straight for the semicircles. So we're going to breathe in. On the out breath, we're going to lift our arms up off the floor. We're then going to start taking them around in a circle. Once we get our hands to roughly 3 and 9 o'clock position, we're going to rotate the thumbs under. We're going to carry on that movement all the way around. Once we get towards our bum, we're going to bend our arms and place the backs of our hands on our lower back. We're then going to squeeze our shoulder blades together, pull our elbows together, and then we're going to release that back down, straighten the arms, and we're going to reverse. So we're bringing the hands round. We're going to turn the thumbs under, bring that all the way to the top, and place that back down. We're going to do it 2 more times. So breathing in, Breathing out, lifting those hands up off the floor, taking that circle around, rotating the thumbs under, all the way around to the back, placing the back of the hands on the lower back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pulling the elbows up, lowering that down, reversing that circle around, twisting the thumbs under, all the way back around to the top, placing that down. Take another breath. On the out breath, picking the arms up. One last time, taking the circle round, rotating the thumbs under, placing the back of the hands on the back, squeezing them together, lowering that down, straightening the arms, bringing that back round, all the way around to the front, placing the arms down, and then just place the hands underneath the forehead again for a second. Just take a couple of breaths here just to relax. And when you're ready, we're going to do our goalpost stretch, which we haven't done in a while. So there's two ways of doing this. We can have an arm straight or we can have our arm bent. Now the straight arm is the easiest option. The bent one is a little bit more intense. So I'll show you the straight arm first. We're still lay down on the floor. We're going to take one arm straight out at shoulder height along the floor. Our other arm is going to be bent up in roughly a 90-degree angle. Our hand is going to be flat on the floor. We're then going to take the arm that's flat on the floor, the hand that's flat on the floor. We're going to bend that leg up and we're going to use that arm and we're going to flip that over. So we're just going to take that leg over. So we're rotating onto the front. Breathing in, breathing back out. Bring that back over. We're going to go the opposite side. So we're just going to straighten that arm out. Have the other arm bent up. Arm that's bent up, we're going to use that foot and we're going to push ourselves over. So you should feel the stretch on the front of the body. And place the side of the head on the floor as well if that's comfortable. Bring that back into the centre. I'm going to do it one more time with our bent arm. Now if this is too intense, you can go back to the straight. So instead of taking that arm straight out to the side, we're going to have our arm bent forward. So the hand's going to be in that kind of bent cross position. We're going to have the other one bent up. Again, same leg as arm up. We're going to twist that over slightly. You'll probably find you can't go as far this time. So just push through that hand slightly. And just use the weight of your leg to pull the hips over as much as you can. Okay, bring that back into the centre. We're going to go the opposite side. So have the arm bent up. Place the other arm on the floor. Same leg as arm up. Twist that over. Okay, bring that back into the centre. And we're going to roll all the way over onto our back for our spinal twists. So just to finish this off, or finish us off either, whichever you prefer. Just lay comfy on your back, take your arms out to the side. We're going to pick our right leg up, cross it over our left, and let our knees drop towards the left hand side. If you want, you can place your left hand on that knee. Pull yourself over slightly and just take some breaths here. Okay, we bring that back into the centre, uncross. We're going to take our left leg, cross that over our right, let the knees drop towards the right hand side. And then if you want, you can place that hand on the knee and just take some breaths here. Okay, bring the knees back into the centre and cross the legs. We're just going to roll over onto our sides and push ourselves up into a comfortable seated position. We're going to take a few breaths. Bring your awareness back into the room. And I hope you enjoyed that one. Any comments, any questions, or any requests, let us know. The shoulders were specifically asked for, so I hope she enjoys this. And we will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.